Hey guys! Tonight we step into the world of the Vikings, not the fierce warriors you've heard so much about, but rather the quiet hearths of Nordic homes, where the children of these legendary people spent long winter nights. Imagine the cold enveloping the landscape while the howling wind races past the wooden walls, creating the perfect backdrop for tales of magic and adventure. It's a bit like walking into a fairy tale that you're almost certain you probably won't survive, but don't worry, this journey is all about wonder. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Share your location and local time in the comments. It's always fascinating to see where our little tribe is tuning in from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The fire crackles softly in front of you, illuminating the small cozy room with a gentle glow. The wooden beams above form a cage of shadows, playing tricks with your mind as you take in the warmth seeping through the house. Around you, the chatter of siblings and friends fills the air, along with the comforting scent of wood smoke and last night's stew still hanging in the atmosphere. You feel the firm, bare fur beneath you, a gift from a successful hunt, its rough texture a reminder of nature's wild embrace. In these Nordic homes, families gather to share stories, passing down the rich tapestry of their ancestors through voices and whispers. Gather around little ones, calls out an elderly voice, belonging to someone whose age gives their tales a magical authenticity, even if you suspect it's sometimes enriched by their imagination. You find yourself nestled among the group, the flickering light painting stories in the air as the narrator begins a tale about the gods and how Thor once lost Mjolnir, his mighty hammer, to a mischievous giant. Historians still debate the nuances of these tales, whether they were strictly for entertainment or held some deeper educational purpose. But what is certain is their power to captivate the young and old alike. The narrative weaves through the room describing Thor in disguise, aided by Loki trying to retrieve his prized possession. You picture yourself in the story, your small hands attempting to hold Mjolnir, only to be lifted off your feet by its impressive weight. A grin sneaks onto your face as you wonder if anyone really thought borrowing bridal attire would help Thor's cause. The idea is ridiculous but endearing, and you sense you're not the only one trying to stifle laughter at the absurdity. As the story continues, you hear the wind groaning outside, rattling the wooden shutters, as if eager to join your gathering. The comfort of the indoors feels all the more reassuring against this untamed backdrop. You lean closer to feel the warmth of the fire on your face. Here in this room, the icy world beyond seems like a distant thought, much like how time itself feels suspended in these narrative hours. A younger sibling elbows you, whispering mischievously, "Do you think Thor ever gets tired of being tricked by Loki?" You shrug, holding back a laugh. Probably more tired than Mama. Of your endless questions, you reply playfully, nudging them back. The tales not only entertain but educate. The elders weave in lessons about loyalty, bravery, and the importance of kinship values, as timeless as the stars above. A detail you learn seeps into your mind, how the Vikings used to believe wisps of aurora borealis were actually reflections of Valkyrie shields. You wonder what it would be like to fly through such a sky, realizing that your imagination might just be your own shield against the monotony of winter. The story winds down like the evening itself to a comfortable hum of contented voices whispering in the dark. Outside, the elements continue their symphony, a counterpoint to the gentler music of familial love and shared history inside. As others begin settling down for the night, you feel your eyelids grow heavy. The fire burns lower now, casting a softer light, barely enough to distinguish faces in the gentle blur. The scents of smoke and wool, the sounds of sleepy murmurs, wrap around you like a familiar quilt, lulling you into a deep sense of safety and belonging. You draw a cloak tighter around your shoulders, matching your breathing to the rhythm of the room, slow, steady, timeless. Just as the long Viking ships used to navigate uncharted waters, your dreams seem ready to set sail across the seas of slumber. You promise yourself that tomorrow night you'll be ready for the next chapter of tales, eager to discover what new adventures await. In this moment, the world outside is forgotten, and you drift into sleep, cradled by the echoes of ancient stories and the gentle warmth of the Nordic night. The fire crackles softly as you sit on a fur rug, the warm glow casting flickering shadows that dance across the walls of the longhouse. Outside, the night is cold and still, but inside the fire pit brings comfort and life. You watch as the children around you stack stones, their little towers sometimes teetering and collapsing, sending peals of laughter echoing through the space. There's a warmth beyond the flames themselves, a familial coziness that wraps around you as you trace patterns in the ash, with a finger feeling the soft, powdery residue cling to your skin. You can't help but smile at the mischief being born as one child balances a kindling stick on their nose to the raucous cheering of their friends. In these moments, the fire pit becomes more than just a source of warmth. It's a central hub for stories and games and learning. You hear the gentle hum of a story being recited by an elder on the other side of the flames. His voice is like a low, rumbling river, and you lean closer to catch the tale of ancient warriors and their daring exploits, tales that historians still debate whether they are myths or reflective of some deeper truth. There's an earthy smell in the air, a mix of the smoke, the worn wood of the longhouse, and the faint musk of animal pelts. The essence surrounds you, drawing you further into your thoughts. You wonder about the countless generations before you who have sat in this very spot, tracing similar patterns in similar ashes, questioning if they felt as connected to the history written in each ember. The heat from the fire embraces you like a favorite old coat, and you glance around, taking in the simple beauty of the place. The walls are made of sturdy logs, chinked with moss to keep the chill away. Overhead, wooden beams crisscross, collecting smoke in sleepy curls that drift out through a small opening in the roof. You wonder if that roof has seen more winters than you'd care to count. A child giggles across from you, breaking your reverie. He's made a tiny fort out of stones, a miniature castle to guard invisible treasure. You consider asking if there might be a dragon nearby, but you settle with a grin instead, watching as another child breathes life into a game of shadows, making birds and beasts flit across the walls. It's curious, you think, how this circular space seems the heartbeat of the entire longhouse. Its very presence invites conversation and connection, each crackle a punctuation in the story being told, or rather the story being lived. As you sit there warmed by both the fire and the camaraderie, you notice something peculiar. One of the older children is skillfully balancing a small rock on end atop a larger stone, an unusual feat given the asymmetrical shapes. It's a delicate display of patience and dexterity, one that reminds you of a fact you picked up once. Children, in ancient times, were known to learn through play, from stacking stones to weaving simple threads into more complex patterns. This fire pit has served as a classroom, you realize, for centuries. And just like all great teachers, it also has a way of teasing out a bit of mischief when you least expect it. You have to chuckle to yourself, imagining the adults who surely had once been mischief makers themselves, now entrusted with maintaining the peace of the hearth. Listening to the crackle and pop of the burning logs, you reflect on the shared human experience of the stories passed down in whispers and song, in laughter and play, all gathered around a simple fire pit. You think about how they are like the stones being stacked and the stories being told, balancing acts of their own, what was, what is, and what still might be. You exhale slowly, shoulders relaxing against the furs beneath you. The children around you seem to sense your ease, as if you've given silent permission to escalate their play. The room, with its ward of young architects and their unknowable creations, feels more alive than ever, infused with curiosity and the flame's gentle roar. All this in a simple ancient space where the only certainty you realize is that the night will end and the fire will dim, but the warmth of tonight's stories will persist, echoing in the minds of each who gathered here. The room is dimly lit. The soft glow of a single lamp casts dancing shadows across rough-hewn wooden walls. You sit quietly, your legs swinging off the edge of an old, sturdy bench, its surface polished smooth by generations of use. Beside you, your father hunches over a block of wood, the small flame flickering at his side as he works with serene concentration. You watch in fascination as his hands move with practiced ease, the knife slicing gently through the grain. With each precise stroke, a tiny longship emerges from the raw wood, its proud prow and elegant curved hull silently taking shape under the lamplight. You rest your chin in your hands, eyes wide, as you imagine the tiny ship cutting through the water on grand adventures. Who knew such magic could be conjured from a piece of wood? You probably won't survive this. Watching your father's craftsmanship has a way of mesmerically drawing you in until the rest of the world fades away. You can almost hear the distant call of the sea, the cries of gulls riding some phantom breeze through your imagination. Where will she sail, you ask your voice, barely above a whisper, not wanting to disturb the delicate balance of the moment. Your father smiles, a soft chuckle escaping him. Anywhere the heart desires, little one. The world is vast and tales abound on every horizon. Your fingers itch to hold the ship, to feel its smooth surface and imagine the adventures it will have. You can't help but wonder where it will venture first. The mysterious lands of the Norse gods, perhaps Odin Thor, and those raucous banquets served with boisterous storytelling. The grand sagas of explorers who, you aren't entirely sure, even the historians got right. When the vessel is finally complete, your father hands it to you with a small bow of his head, as if bestowing a grand title. You cradle it gently, feeling the cool softness of the wood and the sharp, defined edges of the carved sails. In the silence of the room, with only the gentle crackle of the burning lamp for company, you feel a strange sense of connection to something larger. Later, when morning breaks anew, and the world outside is alive with the crisp golden light of early spring, you rush to where yesterday's drifts of snow are now puddles of crystal clear water. You kneel beside a particularly inviting pool, letting your ship kiss the water surface. It bobs playfully, rocked by the tiniest of ripples. The puddle becomes your ocean, its boundaries limitless to your adventurous mind. The ship sails boldly toward the drain at the edge of the road, ready to navigate the vast unknown networks hidden beneath the streets. You imagine it traversing caverns and channels, hidden worlds your imagination hungrily devours. As the day warms, you think about how Norse explorers set out into the unknown, no maps to guide them, just the stars and their thirst for adventure. Did they also feel this feverish thrill, this joyous uncertainty, where every wave might reveal a whole new realm? They could have done worse than a trusty old ship like yours. You sit back on your heels, the spring air gently brushing against your face, and an ache of yearning tugs at you, a wanderlust learned from stories whispered by the fire. You forget your soaked knees and the chill of your drenched shoes. You're too busy imagining the creak of wooden beams and the salty spray of a distant ocean wind. You chuckle to yourself, thinking, perhaps it's good the Norse forgot to pack umbrellas, or their bravery might have sailed drier seas altogether. But then again, who can sail with a lump of wood and not become an explorer right there on the pavement? You shrugged the universe of your tiny ship already far beyond. As the sun climbs higher, drying the land and turning your maritime marvel back to a mere puddle drifter, you tuck the little longship under your arm. Maybe tomorrow, it will find itself navigating more adventurous waters, a bathtub bay, kitchen sink straits. Ancient sailors, you reflect, didn't have half the options available to modern discoverers like you. You head back inside, clutching the ship with care, as the brightness of the day filters splashes of light across your face. It feels lighter in your hand, perhaps anticipating its next voyage. You return it to the fireplace mantle, a place of honor, where it can rest, until the next adventure whispers it away again. The scent of evening meals beckons from the kitchen, and the hum of everyday life resumes around you. But something feels different today. You think of your ship and the endless possibilities it holds. It's more than a toy. It's a piece of history, a vessel of imagination. As shadows draw long and your eyelids grow heavy, there's a comfort in knowing that tomorrow the ship will set sail anew, promising all the adventures a curious soul can muster. Your father's voice interrupts with a gentle call. It's dinner time. The fire-warmed smell of stew promises satisfaction, while the warm laughter of your family fills the room with a coziness matched only by the comfort of a honeyed bedtime story. As the shadows deepen, you snuggle into the welcoming depths of a favorite seat, ready to listen, to learn, and to imagine. You feel a sense of gratitude, your heart full, knowing that no matter how many worlds you traverse in your mind, you always have your own hearth to return to. You close your eyes, the echoes of the day's adventures quieting to a soft hum, like a lullaby carried gently on the wind. A reminder that there are always new horizons waiting to be explored when the morning light breaks through the window once again. In the quiet corners of your imagination, you gather with other eager young crafters in a time long ago. The flickering glow of a hearth casts dancing shadows on the walls, illuminating your collection of fabric scraps, bits of animal hair and bundles of straw. With nimble fingers you weave and knot these humble materials into shapes that slowly take form. Dolls, they call them. But to you, each is a world in itself, an echo of the people around you and the heroes you've heard about in whispered tales. Some of your creations bear a striking resemblance to the people in your daily life. Their straw limbs encased in homespun tunics, and their faces painted with the careful hand of a child. These dolls are more than toys. They are silent companions guarding your secrets and dreams. Others are adorned in the likeness of fierce shield maidens with tiny fabric shields and helmets of tightly woven thread. You imagine their stories brave and bold, woven from the feats of legends you've heard from elders recounting nighttime sagas by the fireside. Here's a cheeky reality for you. You probably won't survive this chaotic world of epic storytelling without a touch of creative whimsy. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's a small gesture, but one that keeps our crafting journey alive. Feel free to share where you're listening from and the current time engaging with our community all around the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. As you craft, the room fills with soft murmurs. As children around you make their own figures, each doll a unique creation of imagination and resourcefulness. You wonder if these small figures will ever age as you do, or if they will remain timeless with the stories you've invested in them. Historians still debate whether these toys were simple playthings or vessels of cultural storytelling, much like your own nighttime epics. In the soft light, you find yourself lost in thought. You consider how each shield maiden with her tiny armor, fashioned from scraps, might whisper untold stories as you fall asleep. You finger the delicate threads of her helmet and imagine her standing atop a hill, surveying lands that stretch beyond the horizon of your village. The truth is, while the concept of dolls seems as old as time itself, historians agree that the forms and materials changed with the cultures that crafted them. Some were symbols of fertility, others educational tools. You chuckle softly, picturing your own straw man heroically rescuing an imperiled damsel who is incidentally crafted from your sister's old apron. From your spot near the hearth, along with the soothing crackle of firewood, you overhear quiet conversations among the adults. They speak of daily chores, hopes for the harvest, and snippets of local lore. You listen carefully, filing away their stories to be told later through your doll's silent play. You feel a tap on your shoulder and turn to see your younger sibling holding a tuft of wool they've been saving. "It's for your hero's cloak," they say with a shy smile. You accept it with thanks and set to work, imagining how this simple doll, now cloaked in noble wool, could be a character of grandeur. As you craft, the night outside deepens. The moon hangs low in the sky, casting its silver light through the small window. You're surrounded by friends, both real and imagined. The cozy room feels like a sanctuary, the gentle rustling of garments and quiet hum of voices providing a soft lullaby to your contented thoughts. Clearly, there's an art in turning the mundane into the legendary, in transforming a bit of bone or fabric into a figure that could easily outshine the legendary heroes in sagas. But isn't that what creativity is all about? Giving life to the lifeless, dreaming into existence what wasn't there before. You exhale slowly, captivated by the dance of light and shadows that spin around you, fueled by your boundless creativity. As your doll becomes more defined, you dream of the adventures it could embark on. Perhaps it will traverse ocean-like blankets, tread lightly through mountainous bedspreads, and find its kingdom in the land of down the hall. You tuck these adventures gently in your mind as the doll lies on your palm, waiting for its stories to unfold. Quietly, your friends and siblings begin to wrap up their crafting for the night. Soft good nights are passed around, and like a procession of sleepy dreamers, you all make your way to bed. The dolls you've crafted find places of honor beside your pillows, ready to drift into slumber with you. As you lie in the darkness, you imagine their tales. Who knows which part comes from memory from the stories you've been told, and which parts are made up? That's the magic after all, allowing your mind to wander through the twisting paths of imagination, where factual history meets the dreamy tales of night. Tomorrow's sunlight will spill through the windows, awakening the creations born tonight from your clever hands. But for now, there's nothing left but to close your eyes, breathing softly, in rhythm with the gentle world you've built with each thread and strand of straw. In the swaddling embrace of sleep, you let go, trusting your dolls to guard the threshold between waking life and the mysteries of dreams. Pillow soft beneath your head, heart steady in your chest, you drift along with the tales, spun from fabric and imagination, anchored gently in the night. As you sit before the simple wooden board on a chilly evening, the carved lines draw your eyes in. This game in front of you, Nefataful, is a mystery. Its stones waiting patiently, like mischievous children eager for their moment in the sun. You're here to outsmart your sibling, a worthy opponent, whose occasional victory only fuels your competitive spirit. The evening light filters through the shuttered window, casting long shadows over the game pieces, small, smooth pebbles collected from the brook outside. The familiarity of their cool, rounded surfaces brings a sense of calm, Yet the strategic challenge ahead quickens your heart. You wonder if the ancient Vikings felt the same thrill as they leaned over such boards, perhaps under the swaying golden glow of a firelit hall. Historians, you recall, still debate whether these games were played more for leisure or training. Tonight for you, it promises to be both. Your sibling sits across from you, eyes sparkling with mischief. They raise an eyebrow, daring you to make the first move. You grin, acknowledging the unspoken pact to let the game fluidly adapt as needed. After all, the rules are never strictly fixed. They bend like marsh reeds in the wind, offering room for creativity. Perhaps that's the true beauty of Hanefa Tafel. It respects the whims of those who have mastered it, or at least those brave enough to bend its will. As you place the first pebble, you take in the room around you a warm enclave, lined with wooden beams and whispers of a time lost to history. You imagine the grand tales these walls might hold, or wish they could. The floor creaks gently as your sibling shifts, settling into their role, as the defender pieces set in a diamond around the king, a larger, heftier stone. The objective seems simple. The king must escape to the board's edge, while you plot and scheme with cunning moves to block all paths. Your sibling hums a little tune as you ponder your next strategy, a soothing age-old melody carried through the ages. In the cozy warmth of the room, you feel your shoulders relax slightly, despite the intensity of the game. You think back to the myths of gods and heroes who may have once played a similar game, fittingly creating strategies as clever as Loki's tricks, or so you somewhat sarcastically assume. A light breeze rustles through the window, its cool touch offering brief respite to your focused mind. You become aware of how easily the game lulls you into its rhythmic dance, each move a beat, each counter a harmony. It seems almost laughable how absorbed both you and your sibling become. Yet when you think about it, many wise ancients felt the same enchantment, didn't they? Even if some historians dispute the extent of the game's historical footprint here, its legacy remains very much alive, relying on wit and subtle maneuvers, moves that feign clumsiness, hide deeper intentions. You reach out and adjust one pebble eyes, catching your sibling's curious glance, a little victory in itself. Your amusement means they can't read your moves too easily. After all, a game without a bit of playful deception is like a storyteller without a tale, missing the point entirely. Outside, the evening air carries a hint of earthiness from the loamy garden, grounding you in this historical moment, a time without modern distractions, where connection came in intimate gatherings over games and stories. Here, the simple can become profound, the trivial significant. Your move, your sibling chime's voice laced with mock impatience, yet softened by the underlying camaraderie this game nightly fosters. Not just a battle of moves and counter-moves. It is an engagement of minds, a playful skirmish for familial bragging rights. The game evolves as easily as laughter in these moments. A shared history, perhaps as rich as any Viking saga, is forged one move at a time. You take a moment to breathe, let your hands rest against the old boards, your fingertips tracing the grooves, carved by time and play. As you weigh your options, considering whether today's rules will favor bold leaps or cautious retreats. A chuckle escapes. Given the Vikings' affinity for adaptability, maybe that unpredictability is the most authentic homage you can pay to them. Or is it just your excuse for a little chaos? In this world of simple boards and strategy, every choice feels monumental, every decision a declaration. But even as the game slowly unfolds, you sense the true victory lies not in who conquers whom, but in the shared experience, the laughter, the occasional banter, the silent understanding when the game stretches beyond its rules, and you allow yourself occasionally to be surprised by the outcomes. And as the evening cools into night, the gentle ticking of time marks the passage of yet another story told. In its conclusion, you find warmth and a promise of another day, filled with games and tales that echo the voices and silence of history alike. As you step back into a world where nothing goes to waste, you find yourself in a quaint village. The ground underneath you is firm, and the scent of freshly tilled soil mixes with the sweet, lingering aroma of blooming wildflowers. It's pleasantly familiar, almost as if you visited in a dream before. Villagers hustle around their hands, busily engaged in work that has been passed down through generations. You observe the intricate patterns of their daily lives, stitching your own place into a tapestry that feels both ancient and new. Amongst the bustling life, children stand out like sprightly little spirits, their laughter bubbling through the air. They're deeply engrossed in a rather curious game. In their small, nimble hands, they hold polished knucklebones, remnants of goats or pigs that had lived and served the community. These bones, no longer needed for their original purpose, are now meticulously cared for trinkets. Even here you note nothing truly ends its usefulness. It reminds you of tales where renowned inventors found astonishing creations in the simple scraps of the world around them. You wonder if this ingenuity might have sprouted from such everyday sparks of cleverness. You are fascinated as you watch these children toss the bones like dice, each piece flipping and twirling with its own mind, landing at unpredictable angles. They cheer and jeer with each result, the points tallied by rules known only to them, carved into their play by countless games. Little surprise then that historians still debate whether these pastimes truly influenced the strategic games we know today. The challenge, the chance, the inevitable laughter, and sometimes the indignant squabble over a misinterpreted rule. You can see echoes of your own playful childhood. One child turns and laughs, calling out to you. Can you guess the score? Their eyes twinkle with mischief, sparking a smile from you. You shrug playfully, not minding the mystery. The guessing might just be half the fun. No points for me, I suppose. You chuckle, taking a mental note to someday learn their secret scoring system. The village air holds a warmth of kinship, subtly whispering stories that belong to these winding paths and modest homes. Mud brick walls rise up around you, textured and sun-baked, offering a comforting backdrop to the lively scene. You imagine the effort poured into every slab, each brick a witness to countless tales and tempered resilience. Amid your musings, a villager carrying a basket of herbs nods in greeting. You return the gesture shoulders, relaxing slightly more as you bask in the peaceful yet vibrant life maintained here. It strikes you that this shared community spirit, this mutual resourcefulness, when even knuckle bones are transformed into playthings, is the bedrock of their survival. The skies begin painting themselves in soft hues as daylight tilts toward dusk, enveloping the village with an amber glow. Shadows stretch lazily, merging into a serene twilight that signals the day's gentle end. You might think you're in a scene from an old storybook, one you had read by lamplight, entranced by the tales of farmsteads and rich histories that carry seamlessly through time. Even as night encroaches, the children's games don't cease immediately. Instead, they evolve. You find yourself captivated by the rhythm of this transformation, the quieterness enveloping the village, guiding everyone toward the glowing embers of family hearths. Yet a humor lingers in the way games wrap snugly into the day. The endearing strategies and squeals of excitement coming to rest under the cloak of night, you think would surely puzzle the most dedicated historian. It's in these moments where the ordinary transcends into the marvelous that the spirit of the past whispers softly. Kindness becomes as tangible as the cool breeze brushing against your face, and change as palpable as the soft earth beneath your feet seems the work of unseen but ever-present hands. Even the playful knucklebones, polished with care and tossed with glee, resonate within you, an unbroken chord in a melody that stretches far beyond a simple village game. As you draw a slow, contented breath, you realize you have indeed journeyed somewhere meaningful, where neither time nor material is ever truly lost or wasted. Closing your eyes, you too rest a part of this enduring tale. You step outside into the frosty embrace of winter, the air crisp and invigorating, nipping playfully at your exposed skin. The snow crunches beneath your boots as you make your way across the open expanse where children laugh and chase one another, their gleeful cries rising into the chill air. You pause to watch them, captivated by the simplicity and joy of their games. They wear flat wooden shoes, sliding across the ice with abandon, sometimes tumbling, sometimes triumphantly staying upright, their cheeks burning bright red from the brisk wind. You can't help but chuckle, remembering how, once upon a time, you too raced across the ice with wild, reckless joy. The children have crafted a collection of fantastical creatures, from the snow dragons and unicorns sit alongside an army of miniature forts, and even a few sleds that, while functional, seem more designed by dreams than by practicality. As you look closer, you wonder if the sculptors of these creatures were aware of the long-standing tradition of snow artistry that stretches through history. Historians still debate whether early depictions of famous snowmen were actually attempts at homage, or simply a way to keep bored villagers entertained during long winters. You imagine the little-known fact that the delicate art of molding snow into shapes was practiced by people centuries ago, often turning the mundane substance into forms that were anything but ephemeral. A light-hearted competition breaks out among the children to see who can craft the most elaborate snow beast. One particularly ambitious child with a fur-lined cap tries to shape a dragon worthy of legends, all sharp angles and ambitious grandeur. The child's hands move deftly sculpting scales with the practiced ease of a master. You shake your head amused at the focus and seriousness of their young minds. It seems so critical now, but only time will reveal how much these moments truly mattered. You recall a story you heard once about snow sculptures in medieval Europe. Unlike the cheery playfulness before you, those were serious affairs, status symbols even. But here on this little patch of white, where children dream of fire-breathing guardians and fairy tale castles, there is only pure joy. The weight of history doesn't seem heavy, while the little ones giggle and squabble over whether they should include wings on the snow dragon. It's hard not to admire their creativity and innocence. Wrapped in layers like marshmallow soldiers against the bite of the cold, they explore their world without care or compromise, creating spontaneous art that in a few hours or days will dissolve back into the earth. Isn't that a tiny bit poetic, you muse? Perhaps they know something we don't, about appreciating the here and now, about breathing deeply and experiencing life in full, even if it means wet gloves and runny noses. A snowball sails past your head, missing you by mere inches. Oops, a young boy calls out, a sly grin on his face. You spot him among a team of mischief makers cocooned in scarves and mittens, his snow-caked eyelashes evidence of recent battles fought and won. You decide it's probably just as well you dodged that one. Your reflexes aren't quite what they used to be. As the impromptu snowball fight slowly winds down, the children spread out once more to pursue individual exploits on the canvas of snow. You find yourself drawn to their carefree existence, a lightness that sneaks into your chest and warms you against the winter's chill. It's funny you think how snow is so often viewed with dread, a harbinger of shoveling and icy roads instead of the playground it can be. Nearby, a group of younger children are learning to skate, their attempts more like waddling penguins than the graceful glides of seasoned skaters. But you admire their determination. There's camaraderie in their shared stumbles, in the way a hand reaches out to help another regain their feet. You think about how, despite the centuries of change, some things remain blissfully the same. A child's laughter in the snow, a shared moment between friends, and the simple joy of winter's wonderland. It's reassuring to know that no matter how grand or complex our modern lives become, the magic of simple snow games persists. Perhaps these are the seeds of stories yet to be told, the early chapters of memories that will one day be recounted to children of their own. You're reminded suddenly of a saying from an old bard whose name escapes you now, about how the snow is the sleep of the world and winter its dreams. Your thoughts drift back to the scene before you. The children are still at play, their boots kicking up clouds of white as they race across the ice. One child, belly down on a sled, is pushed by another, creating low hills of snow as they scuttle along. Their laughter is infectious, a melody that lulls you into a sense of peace and gratitude for these simple, fleeting moments. You sigh contentedly, feeling as though you've been given a gift, a gentle reminder to see the wonder in the ordinary, to find joy in the passage of time that, like snow, is ever changing, ever shifting. Winter has bestowed its touch across the land, wrapping it in a quiet, soft embrace. You nestle deeper into your warm coat, allowing yourself just a moment longer to soak in the serenity of it all before reluctantly turning back toward home. Your heart a little lighter, your mind a touch clearer, and your soul quietly inspired. The longhouse stretches before you, a labyrinth of shadows and secrets, corners and crevices. It's like a game that never truly ends, only pauses. You brush past several cloaks hanging near the entrance. They sway like silent sentinels, momentarily masking the faint giggles of children who have disappeared into their favorite hiding spots. It's a wonder how they fit behind those woolen tapestries, the heavy cloth shifting ever so slightly to betray their presence. The hearth, a smoldering heart, beating in the center of the room, sends tendrils of smoke spiraling towards the rafters, creating a hazy ceiling that blurs the edges of your vision. You blink and rub your eyes. It's somewhere between a mystery and a mirage. You find yourself drawn to a line of barrels, clustered against a stone wall, filled with who knows what ale, grain pickles, or maybe something less definable. Perhaps something more daring like Viking mead, or even a stash of honeyed sweets. You find yourself leaning, listening for the tiniest shuffle or whisper. But of course, this bunch is deft and cunning, not unlike cats, you muse. If cats had sticky fingers and a penchant for pilfering sweets. You edge past the barrels and spot a pair of feet sticking out from beneath a bench. You wouldn't pick this spot yourself. It's too obvious. Yet that's the genius of it. You're just about to tap those feet when they pull back, swiftly giggles, trailing behind as the feet vanish into the patchwork of shadows. Historians still debate whether the longhouses were the real community hub or just a staple of Norse ingenuity, but none can deny their function as near-perfect playgrounds. Also, you don't have to pick up after the kids, which ranks high in your personal list of historical housing features. Suddenly a voice drifts across the smoky haze. It's kind familiar. Finding anyone, yet asks one of the elders sitting near the hearth eyes, crinkled with knowing amusement. "Oh, I'm onto them," you reply with a grin, feeling the comforting heat of the fire wrapping around your back. Despite the laughter and the chase, the homespun warmth anchors you to the moment, letting your imagination dance like an ember caught in an updraft. One child bravely peeks out from behind a tapestry, blonde hair tangled like spun gold in the firelight. Did you know they say in the old days, if you couldn't be found, it meant you turned invisible forever? You chuckle at the whimsy of their tales, fully aware that stories ebb and flow like this all around the world. But it tickles the curiosity within you, as these tales often do, like wind brushing past your cheeks on a brisk morning. Not many invisible people around lately. You quip your voice soft, yet carrying enough to echo slightly in the longhouse. Stepping lighter now, you weave through the flickering shadows and explore the nooks each step on the wooden floorboards, accentuating the house's gentle creaks. You wonder if the builders thought the structure would still stand firm under the weight of time and childish feet. A sudden clatter draws your attention to a darkened corner where light dapples across cluttered items, a delightful chaos of shoes, shields, and carved toys, relics of both youth and utility secured beneath forgotten cloaks. A cat equally fond of cloak and dagger games darts between them, tail flicking eyes aglow with mischief. Keep your secrets, you whisper to the whiskered conspirator, as much a partner in crime as the unseen children. Amid the longhouse's rhythmic symphony of life, a blend of crackling wood, murmured stories, and shared laughter, you discover that the joy isn't just in finding or being found. Instead, it's nestled in the in-between moments, tucked away like a rare treasure discovered anew. You gather around the low fire, its gentle warmth, causing flickering shadows to dance around the room. The evening air is cool and fragrant, carrying the scent of blooming night jasmine and the faint earthy tang of the nearby river. You find yourself amidst a group of storytellers, each seated, cross-legged on the wooden floorboards that sigh softly beneath the weight of shared histories. As night deepens, a rhythm begins, a gentle clapping, rhythmic and soothing. Hands beat together in patterns, all the better to accompany the ancient chants and playful rhymes that float into the night. These aren't just songs. They're rituals steeped in tradition and folklore. The claps, like oral timekeepers, echo throughout the space, reminiscent of distant drums. You can't help but wonder if these patterns have echoed through generations, binding the people here to their ancestors and stories. Once, an elder begins, eyes twinkling like the stars overhead. On nights like this, storytellers would sing of heroes long past. A smile dances across their face, and you feel a kinship with those heroes, embellished, or perhaps real, who dared to seek more than what the everyday offered. You wonder how much truth rests amidst the flowering embellishments of legend. Nearby, a child giggles, caught up in the nonsense tunes that follow a whimsical release from the weight of history. You chuckle softly yourself, wondering at the sheer nonsense of some of these rhymes. Even the ancients needed a good laugh, didn't they? Just like today. Sometimes you have to break the solemnity with silliness. Another voice rises to share a tale, this one supposedly about a local hero, known as much for their bungling ways as their bravery. Historians still debate whether this hero truly existed, the storyteller muses. But isn't that the magic of these nights, where truth and fiction waltz together until distinguishing one from the other is no longer the point? You nod, feeling the smoothness of worn wood under your fingers. The textures of time, you think mirthfully, are much like the floor full of creaks and groans, but enduring. The wooden planks underneath amplify the rhythm. Feet join in the clapping as more stories unfold. You notice how the stomp echoes differently in each corner of the room, like each had its own tale to tell. The sound surges and recedes like a ritualistic ocean, drawing you deeper into its ebb and flow. It's hypnotic, and before long, you find yourself tapping along thoughts, drifting on a sea of sound and story. And just when you think you've gotten the hang of the latest nonsense rhyme, someone changes the game, adding a mischievous beat that sends the group into peals of laughter. You're swept up in the joy of it, ankle deep in imagination. Fun, isn't it? Far more humorous than the goat fat trick you heard about earlier, involving some old superstition to ward off bad dreams. No wonder storytellers chose silly rhymes to end the night, a good giggle before sleep, far better than old wives' tales. The elder's voice rises again, recounting tales of a great storm and an adventurous soul who dared to sail into it, only to return with stories of a land where trees grew as tall as mountains. You try to imagine such a place, but your mind wanders back to the here and now, where you sit among friends and strangers united in this timeless rhythm. It's a comfort, this shared experience, like being part of a grand tapestry woven across ages. A breeze whispers through an open window, stirring the room's warmth with a fresh, cool touch. You wonder about those past ocean voyagers and whether the spirit of adventure called to them as much as these stories call to you. And while you may never sail on storm-tossed seas, you've found your own adventures right here, in a room filled with the rich history of sound and tradition. The clapping changes tempo, once more quieter now, as if to usher gentle dreams into the space. Around you, eyelids droop as night takes hold. You exhale slowly, your own eyelids heavy, the day's weariness mingling with contentment, drawn from shared stories and mirth. The fire's glow softens, casting a warm, sleepy hush over the gathering. This is where stories conclude, not with a definitive end, but drifting softly into the night air, much like a lullaby. You feel a hand on your shoulder, a gentle, reassuring squeeze before it disappears into the shadows. It's time to let dreams take over the storytelling. Now your thoughts sweeping softly into rest, carried by the gentle echoes of rhythm around you. The wind whispers again in sounds as old as time, and you are finally at rest. As you sit quietly surrounded by the dim glow of a flickering candle, you can almost hear the muffled laughter of children from centuries past. In a small, shadowed clearing, plumes of their gleeful mischief rise around you like the soft whisper of leaves. This is a time where children delight in the simplest of crafts, a world where bark and bone become canvases for their creative antics. Your fingers trace over an old worn piece of bark, and you can almost feel the tiny grooves that children once carved with care. They meticulously etched runes, each line a stroke of learning a brush with ancient knowledge. It seems strange yet delightful that what might have begun as mundane practice soon turned into a tool of playful sorcery. Surrounding you is a lush, messy jumble of tall grass and sprigs of wild flowers, their colors muted in the dusk's softly sinking hue. The air is thick with the scent of earth and childhood, as you imagine the gang of young tricksters huddling together, eyes dancing with the thrill of secret spells. You can hear the mutterings they must have shared, jumbled vowels, sharp consonants echoing among the trees. With bark in hand, small fingers might prick at the surface, inscribing clumsy names in runic script. Maybe a few drifted into slight curses. May your honey always taste sour. One child might have chuckled, grinning wickedly as their muse. Another bursts into giggles, favoring the dramatic flair of may your chickens forget how to lay eggs. The intentions aren't sinister, of course, but simple prods, met with laughter amidst dappled shade. It's curious to consider as These playful jabs often were, at that age, why children played like this. Some scholars hint that such mischief in ancient societies was a clever ruse to engage young minds in literacy, without the weight of duty pressing upon it. While these theories dance in your thoughts, others speculate whether these wooden tatters held more power back then or simply more imagination. Overhead, the trees rustle gently, adding their own murmurs to the dance. You find yourself amused by the sheer delight in this thought. Did adults know about these runes? Perhaps they cast amused glances, shaking heads, caught between indulgent approval and feigned ignorance. A small boy, his pale blonde hair catching the dusk's final light, might have shown his creation to a girl with red braids tied tightly down her back. Look, he could say, puffing his chest with innocent pride, "I've cursed you to always lose your shoes." Her giggle would rise sweet and high like carefree birds chasing the fading sun. You smell the faintest hint of wood smoke in the distance. It lingers like an unspoken promise of warmth in the cool evening. Fires crackle heartily in your imagination, casting their glow over gathered families in a small rustic village each night. Here history breathes through whispered stories, tales of myth and heroism spun in shadow plays. Oddly, there's something comforting about this age-old mischief, as if their youthful antics echo in some corner of time, still laughing at the bewilderment of their own fleeting power magic, wielded with quiet reverence beneath the ancient knowing stars. A tiny rustle draws your attention back, and you picture a delicate bone smooth from years of handling. Children hunch over with keen curiosity, inscribing it with equal care and delight. Unlike the bark bone presents an entirely new canvas, one slicker, more resistant, yet somehow agreeable to their eager scribes. Perhaps these kids see themselves as artisans of old creators of small worlds, filled with secrets only they can command. There's an odd sort of wisdom in this. You think, smiling inwardly, a slice of knowledge shared between mischief makers past and present. Writing names in runes, a simple act, would have been a rite of passage, their own playful rebellion against the monotony of everyday life. A dance with magic hiding in plain sight. As dusk fades to darkness, the dreams of those children linger an ethereal mixture of shadows and laughter, enveloping you like a gentle breeze. Time's passage is easier here around the small flames of curiosity that flicker quietly in the vast realm of history. You exhale slowly, shoulders relaxing against this familiar woven tapestry of stories and chuckles. Their whispers tumble through the echoes of time, chasing the edges of slumber's light. Trees sway rhythmically in a lullaby of leaves, while soft night sounds cradle you in their embrace. In the growing silence, you let the warmth of ancient camaraderie sweep over you, a gentle hum, carrying you into a realm where past and present dance together, where the curious wonder of bark and bone leads you seamlessly into the folds of this restful night. As the sun begins to lower itself into the horizon, casting elongated shadows across the dusty courtyard, you find yourself surrounded by the lively clamor of children, preparing for a grand amphitheater of playful combat. Their faces light up with the excitement, only a warm afternoon can bring. It is a time of imagination, where the boundaries of reality gently blur into the realms of night's quests and playful rivalries. You glance around and notice an array of makeshift weaponry. Wooden swords reminiscent of ancient gladi in form are being brandished proudly. Their hilts are marked with personal symbols, some resembling crude family crests, while others are simple, endearing attempts at drawing animals or stars. Historians still debate whether such sigils, used widely in past eras, as identifiers actually carried any real meaning beyond imaginative expression. The cardboard-like shields, a marvel of youthful ingenuity, are adorned with stripes of paint, some vibrant, some a little muddled from over-enthusiastic brushstrokes. The children each, a courageous knight in their mind, declare their alliances and recount legendary tales of past battles, all crafted with the whimsical innocence that always brings a secret smile to your face. Your own shield, crafted from an impromptu collection of materials, hangs at your side. You take a moment to admire the handiwork involved in its creation. Perhaps it wouldn't hold up against a real medieval siege, but it doesn't have to. The intent here is purely to manifest the spirit of bravery, all within the safety of understanding and friendship. After all, just as in historical tournaments, rules are established, not that adherence to them is particularly rigid. A call for assembly sounds, and you gather with your peers to autograph the pact of fair play. Words are exchanged, the rules recited and agreed upon, albeit with a touch of irony, since everyone knows these commandments of conduct are soon forgotten to the heat of battle or the cooler bounty of supper. The sky deepens into amber hues as the moment arrives. Battle cries echo across the courtyard, reverberating off stone walls, stirring the imagination. You charge forward, feeling the rush that such shared adventures can spark. The air is filled with laughter, a symphony orchestrated by the clashing of wooden swords and the loud declarations of epic maneuvers. You find yourself drawn into the fray, and as you joust with a friend, your movements become rhythmic, almost dance-like. There's a gentle tension as swords clash and shields thud against each other. It's an exhilarating kind of performance, much like the tournaments of old, where knights not only displayed valor, but charm and wit in their martial prowess. A soft breeze rustles, bringing with it the scent of supper being prepared somewhere nearby. It reminds you how historical banquets followed such displays of chivalry and fun, where feast and festivity wove seamlessly into the community's tapestry. In an unexpected turn, the battle freezes momentarily, as one among your ranks, the designated squire for the day, bellows a nearly operatic, exaggerated cry, falling dramatically to the ground. Everyone pauses first in surprise, and then bursts into laughter. You can't help but chuckle yourself. His performance is both absurdly theatrical and utterly delightful. As the skirmish continues, your arm begins to tire. You wonder if the knights of old experienced the same fatigue beneath the weight of real armor. It's easy to romanticize their lives while battling with light wooden replicas, but surely They must have felt the strain after a long day of jousting and conquest. With the sun nearly tucked away for the night, casting the last rays of twilight across your imagined battlefield, the decisive cry of supper is ready, echoes signaling a truce, more powerful than any command of surrender. All around, faces light up with the promise of a meal waiting. And if you're lucky, perhaps a sweet treat to end the day. As the dust settles and little knights exchange victorious smiles, each retreating to the drawbridge of reality that leads to dining rooms and kitchens, you feel a warmth unrelated to the deeds of valor displayed this evening. It's a warmth born of camaraderie, pure as the joy of play. You meander back toward home, wooden sword still in hand, feeling oddly fulfilled by the day's conquests and camaraderie. It's as though the weight of history strolls alongside you, a comforting presence, reminding you of days long past and adventures that were, and still are, worth having. Once you're washed up and seated at the dinner table, the aromas of supper envelop you. Your eyes close for a brief moment as you inhale and you smile. Tonight has been a good night, one where elements of history have seamlessly blended with the simple pleasures of friendship and play. Later, as you tuck yourself into bed, the remnants of imagined camaraderie soothe you to a peaceful sleep. You muse briefly on what tomorrow may bring. Perhaps another battle, another treaty, or another set of adventures altogether. Your body relaxes under the weight of blankets. Thoughts quenched like smoldering embers, leaving behind a gentle warmth to lead you into dreams. The rhythm of the evening, filled with echoes of joyous laughter and the clangs of wooden swords, slowly fades into silence. Your breath steadies akin to the lull of a story, tapering off into comfortable quiet. The world, gently swaying with the night wind, cradles you aligned with the restfulness of your heart. You embrace the calm, letting it sweep over you like waves onto a tranquil shore. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Don't forget to let me know where you're tuning in from and what time it is in your part of the world. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself standing in a meadow, dotted with wild flowers swaying gently in the cool twilight breeze. The sky above is painted with the vibrant hues of a setting sun, preparing to tuck the world into a serene slumber. Nearby, the silhouette of a grand oak tree stretches its ancient limbs, skyward whispering secrets of past epochs to the sleepy stars. As you walk closer, you feel the soft earth beneath your feet, grounding you, reminding you of the stories rooted in history that echo in the rustling leaves. Children gather around you, their eyes wide with the sparkle of curiosity. One brave soul steps forward, a mischievous glint dancing in their eyes, and says once. The word hangs in the air, drawing every ear and heart toward the promise of adventure. And so the tale begins. A flurry of voices adds layer upon layer, a kingdom nestled in the clouds, where giants roam, bellies full of thunderclaps and laughter that shakes the ground. You can almost hear the gigantic guffaws rolling over mountaintops. It's no wonder thunder has often been considered the bellowing cries of such whimsical beasts. Historians still debate whether giants were purely the figments of human imagination or inspired by ancient tales of tall warriors. You wonder if these stories were whispered on long winter nights, each retelling stoking the fire of belief just a little brighter. The children laugh as another line is added, painting a world where dragons nest in sky-high cliffs, their scales glittering like fallen stars. These dragons whisper legend, can speak every language of the world, their words weaving spells only the bravest sorcerers dare to unravel. In the realm of dreams, dragons have always been cleverer than the sum of their myths. As you imagine these creatures soaring through the skies, a light-hearted thought flutters by. Are these dragons? The keepers of ancient libraries? Their hoards bursting with forgotten wisdom, as well as gold? Perhaps, like true academics, resigned to eternal debates, they argue long through the night over who has the most magnificent treasure. Then comes a quieter voice from the edge of the circle suggesting another. Twist enchanted socks that transform into trolls under the moon's gaze. Of course, such socks would have been the bane of ancient households, vanishing mysteriously and emerging beneath beds as troublesome creatures with minds of their own. You chuckle softly, imagining a wise elder advising their kin. Beware, the answer to the missing laundry lies within the realm of magic. There's a peculiar charm in embracing the implausible. It's probably akin to wondering which came first, the chicken or the sock troll. As you weave through this budding saga, the meadow seems alive, each blade of grass and petal charged with the boundless energy of stories yet untold. Just like the world you're spinning in your mind's eye, medieval courts believed in tapestries, where every thread held stories both known and secret. These intricate designs whispered rumors and conquests, victories and myths, much like the ideas crafted here tonight. As the last golden rays of sun surrender to the sleepy blues of night, you can hear the good-natured bickering of the children debating the direction of this unfolding tale. They remind you of scholars puzzling over an age-old manuscript, intensely serious, yet delightfully unaware of how whimsical they appear from the outside. You gather these budding historians around their fingers, tracing the earth in search of details untold. What next? You ask the words, carried on the cool breeze that swirls above, knowing full well that with each answer, the map of this shared imagination expands every corner, promising laughter challenge, an amusing adventure, much larger than any of us could tackle alone. It's moments like this that make you marvel at the power of stories, the way they bridge gaps, make connections across ages, and build worlds impossibly wonderful from threads of the mind as ephemeral as dreams themselves. You consider with a sense of wonder whether the storytellers of old felt the same thrill weaving their yarns by firelight, aware deep down that no story ever truly ends, just as the winding saga of giants, dragons, and wayward socks continues on through the mysteries of the night. Sometimes, during those long nights, when thunder rumbled ominously outside, and the fragile wooden walls of your home seemed to bend and creak with every gust of wind, your parents would transform survival into a secret game. The storms outside, they were fierce, almost as if the sky itself was having a tantrum. You'd be gathered in the modest, dimly lit room shadows, flickering in the light of a single struggling candle. Your parents' eyes, serious yet somehow playful, would scan the room, locking onto your gaze. Tonight your father whispers, though his voice is barely louder than the sighing wind we play the quiet game. He smiles, a twinkle in his eye that makes your heart dance just a little with excitement, a welcome distraction from the howling chaos outside. You must remain absolutely silent, not a peep, not a whisper. Even the tiniest giggle would bring the world crashing down. The prize. It feels too good to be true. Thick slices of honeyed bread, a luxury that sticks to your fingers, and each bite melts sweetly on your tongue. You squirm a little already, imagining the sugary delight. You think mischievously, who knew that a storm could lead to such sweet rewards? Your mother ever so gently places her finger to her lips, a timeless gesture urging quiet. You nod, feeling the seriousness of this challenge settling over you. There's an odd thrill in it, this game of silence against the storm's growl. Outside, branches scrape against the walls like long skeletal fingers. But you remind yourself, they're just trees, old friends in the daylight. Historians often reflect on how children in ancient times, from the British Isles to the rugged terrains of Mongolia, were adept at blending play with practical survival tactics, though whether this was out of necessity or creativity remains debated. You realize now how your parents are part of that tradition, weaving necessity into adventure. Occasional travelers lost in their own quests, sometimes stopped by, the village tales of distant places and cities carried on their breath like whispers of a different world. Sometimes they were welcomed, other times, for reasons you're too young to understand, you had to stay hidden quiet as the night's secret. These moments, though rare, grew into myths of their own in your small buzzing world. Once you overheard your father say, those visitors might be traders or people in need of help themselves, dodging wayward thieves or weather's wrath. It's like a storybook you think eyeing him as he sits with a mug of something steaming in his hands. You decide that if they can be quiet enough, everyone deserves a slice of honeyed bread. The room is snug, filled with the smell of damp wood and faint wisps of herbs your mother hangs by the window. The dim candle casts long shadows on the walls, the light playing tricks and creating stories in the dark corners, as if each one had its own tale to tell. You cuddle down into your blankets, pulling them tight up to your chin, the weight a comfort against the chilly breath of storm seeping through tiny cracks. Suddenly your brother shifts beside you, his elbow poking your side. You suppress the urge to laugh, clapping a hand over your mouth eyes, wide in mock terror at his betrayal. You're both giggling softly now, shaking silently, feeling the pure delight of nearly being caught. Your mother quirks an eyebrow at both of you, a gentle reminder that the game is on, and you both quickly sober, though the silent laughter still bubbles just inside your chest. You're learning through this playful silence about control and patience lessons, wrapped pleasingly in the guise of fun. Every now and then, a particularly loud crack of thunder erupts, and your mother flinches almost imperceptibly. You wonder if she's thinking of the outside too, where puddles form tiny lakes in the dips of the earth. and each drop of rain is like a thud of footsteps trying to join you inside. You can almost hear her thoughts over the din. How fortunate you are to have a home against the storm, lessons in silence and the promise of honeyed bread. Her look of resolve mingled with relief tells you everything. But even amidst the silence, your mind wanders to the tales. Your father tells the grand stories of knights and epic quests, of chases through dark forests under moonlit skies. You think about how knights probably weren't rewarded with honeyed bread for staying quiet, but more likely swords and shields. The thought makes you smile. Maybe you'll ask him to tell you that story when it's safe to speak again. The storm continues its performance, the wind sometimes mimicking a wolf's howl. You squeeze your eyes shut, imagining yourself in the middle of one of those adventures with only the warm, soft blanket as your trusty armor. As the candle finally flickers out, plunging the room into a comforting darkness, your parents quietly declare the game's end. Silence gives way to soft, thankful laughter. You have won the prize, and as promised, the labor of staying quiet is transforming into sweet pleasure. As you finally taste the honeyed bread, the rich sweetness covering your fingertips, you feel reassured. It tastes like victory and safety, a small triumph over the chaos captured within walls. Your parents' arms around you are gentle grounding anchors in an ever-spinning world of storms and travelers. The world blurs and softens around you as you chew the bread, filling the night with warmth. You whisper thank you, the words lingering like magic in the quiet aftermath of the storm's dance. They smile at your small voice, each of them brushing a hand over your head, enforcing the canopy of love that keeps your small haven safe. You close your eyes, burrowing deeper into the warmth, letting the peace wash over you, a soft hum replacing the storm's rage, cradling you gently into sleep. In the soft light of your room, you find yourself in an ancient village where fields stretch wide, dotted with small clusters of stone and wood homes. The gentle sound of wind rustling through the golden grass soothes your senses. You see children around your age gathered in a cozy circle on the ground, their faces alight with joy and focus. They're playing with small hand-carved toys, tiny cows, sheep, and pigs, which they move meticulously across an imagined pasture. Perhaps it's not so different from playing with modern action figures or dolls. Only these are carved carefully from wood, showcasing the craftsmanship of their elders. You feel the cool, textured surface of a carved cow in your hand, noting the detailed etchings of its hide. It's a humble toy, but one that holds countless possibilities. As you gently nudge it along the dusty earth, you overhear a snippet of dialogue from the past, like a whisper caught on the breeze. Remember, it's not just a toy, it's a lesson. You smile at that realization. These children aren't merely playing. They're learning to care for animals, to nurture and protect, long before they ever touch a real animal. It's a delightful blend of education and enjoyment. You wonder if they ever tire of this game, or if the imaginary pastures always offer new adventures with each passing day. Historians still debate whether these carved toys were more functional or decorative. But as you watch a little girl earnestly guide her wooden sheep along a line of pebbles, you suspect their purpose was much more profound. They shaped young minds, preparing them for adult responsibilities. In a world where animals often meant survival or disaster depending on the season, one child playfully nudges another's toy pig off its invisible path, eliciting giggles from the group. The other child retorts with a grin, "Your pig doesn't know the road. Mine's just saving it the trouble." It's a light moment, a reminder of the universality of playful teasing amongst children transcending centuries. While you observe their innocent play, you notice one boy sitting a bit apart, his attention turned towards the horizon, where sheep in the distance graze for real. The sun casts a golden hue over the fields, painting a picture that you wish you could hold in your mind forever. You can almost feel the warmth of the sun, as if standing there with him. Your thoughts drift, wondering what they might have dreamed of on quieter nights like these. Did they gaze at the stars and weave stories of gods or heroes? Did they question the world beyond the fields and mountains, just as you sometimes do? The sound of a gentle breeze brings you back to the scene. One of the children shares an interesting fact, her voice full of wonder. "Did you know pigs can find truffles? My father says it's like they have a nose for treasure." It's clear even in play. These children are sharing knowledge, building a connection with the world around them. Their toys acting as both teachers and companions. A nearby stream babbles quietly, and you marvel at how these simple moments are woven into the fabric of their daily learning. It's as if Mother Nature herself sits beside them, offering a soft lullaby to accompany their imaginative tales. You count more animal figures scattered across the dusty ground, each one a story, waiting to unfold a flock in miniature, a menagerie of the mind. It is a cozy scene, rich with the scent of earth and wood, and you imagine the earthy fragrance of spices drifting from a nearby kitchen as a mother calls her children inside for supper. The day slowly unwinds, whispering secrets of a time long gone, and you feel a sense of peace as you watch the children gather their toys, carrying the day's lessons into the warm glow of their homes. You can almost hear a parent chuckling, saying, "Don't forget to bring in the cows for milking wooden or not." For an instant, you think about the toys of today, and you can't help but chuckle at the difference. Somehow, though the carved animals seem alive in a way that only the art of hands and hearts could create. It's a gentle reminder that sometimes the simplest things can hold the greatest wisdom. As the sun sets, the fields shimmer with the colors of dusk. You take a deep breath, drenched in the feeling of small happiness and the wonder of discovery that comes with each breath of history. The landscape fades softly to nighttime's embrace as shadows grow longer and cover the land like a comforting blanket. Settled in this distant world, you find yourself drawn into its simplicity and depth, feeling the pulse of life through every small carved creature. You close your eyes, letting the rhythm of a past time wrap around you like a soothing dream full of soft whispers, laughter, and the eternal hum of life unfolding gently all around. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from and what time it is there. Is it morning coffee time or snug under the covers at night? Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You find yourself walking through a small bustling village where the homes are crafted from rugged stone and the pathways are worn from generations of footfalls. The air smells faintly of wood smoke and earth, a comforting scent that fills your lungs with each breath. You exhale slowly, feeling the tension in your shoulders ease as you adjust to this simpler pace of life. Children around you laugh and run freely, clutching cherished toys, each one lovingly repaired countless times. A girl with a tattered doll sits cross-legged on the grass, patiently sewing up a new tear in its tiny dress using a brightly colored thread. She hums a little tune to herself, the melody lilting through the warm air. You wonder if she's recreating a lullaby passed down through her family. Nearby, a group of boys gathers around an old cart, eagerly discussing how to fix one of its wooden wheels. Though their knowledge of physics might not rival a modern engineer's, their hands know the grain of the wood intimately. Historians still debate whether these games taught practical skills or ignited a lifelong love of tinkering, but you sense the importance of their play. One boy holds out a small pot of pine resin, heated just enough to be pliable, its sticky surface gleaming in the sunlight. You overhear snippets of their conversation, the words, a blend of instruction and jest, just like this one boy says with a practiced air demonstrating the artful twist of tightening a rope. Otherwise, it'll last about as long as your last haircut, another teases, earning a round of laughter. The village blacksmith, a burly figure with an endearing twinkle in his eye, stands at his forge, hammering rhythmically at a glowing piece of metal. The ringing sound of metal on metal carries over the village, punctuating the background chatter. He pauses in his work, glancing at the children with a nod of encouragement. His presence is a reassuring constant, the silent custodian of craftsmanship, passed from one generation to the next. You step closer, drawn by the fire's warmth and the hypnotic dance of sparks. It's here in these small moments, amidst the gentle interplay of heat and shadow, that the heart of the village feels most alive. The blacksmith catches your eye and smiles, offering you a brief glimpse into the trust that binds this community together. In this world where every object holds value, each skill, no matter how small, becomes a treasure. You notice how the children's fingers deftly manipulate the tools they've grown up with, each action imbued with the knowledge that every task done well is one less thing to be lost to time. You pause to watch a little boy struggling with a puzzle of wooden blocks, his brow furrowed in concentration. He tries and fails, then tries again undeterred. When at last the pieces click into place, he beams triumphantly, the simple sculpture now whole. This small victory, you realize, is a stepping stone to greater feats, a testament to the resilience of learning couched warmly in an environment that fosters growth and creativity. As the sun begins its descent, casting a golden hue across the village, you reflect on the sense of fulfillment carried in these daily rituals. Skills once deemed antiquated reveal their timelessness inextricably woven into the fabric of life here. You find yourself drawn to the quiet satisfaction that comes from mending what is broken, a satisfaction that those before you surely felt. You smile to yourself, realizing that while history debates the importance of these skills, the lessons learned here resonate beyond their immediate utility. You wonder if there's a bit of this world you can bring back, a piece of simplicity, patience, or creativity that might repair more than just toys. As twilight settles over the village, you turn to leave, heartened by the thought that even in a world where every item matters, what truly endures are the bonds forged in shared laughter, gentle teaching, and the unspoken understanding that to craft is to belong. A gentle breeze whispers through the open window, carrying the scent of warm earth and budding plants. You find yourself walking across a cobblestone path, each step a soft echo in the early evening light. Children's laughter drifts through the air, punctuated by the faint rustling of leaves. Here in this tranquil village, nestled amidst rolling fields and time-worn mountains, play often intertwines seamlessly with sacred practices. You move closer to a small gathering of children who sit cross-legged on a blanket beneath the boughs of an old oak tree. Their nimble fingers work busily shaping tiny hammers and boats from pieces of soft, sun-bleached wood. You hear snippets of their conversation, punctuated by giggles, a reminder of how joyful reverence can be when viewed through a child's eyes. You can't help but smile as you imagine these simple creations eventually finding their place beside a household altar, tokens of devotion masked as a child's game. Just then, as you ponder the earnestness in their craft, you wonder if you've stumbled upon a day when a hammer might sink and a boat might strike a nail. Past the children, you notice a small altar on a worn wooden platform surrounded by an assortment of offerings. There's an array of items, small pots filled with grain, carefully arranged herbs, and polished stones warmed by the sun. One brightly painted miniature boat catches your eye, its hull emblazoned with vibrant, swirling designs. The rich colors stand out against the natural tones around you, a delightful complement to the earnest simplicity of the other offerings. As the sun dips lower in the sky, casting long shadows and bathing the surroundings in golden light, you draw near to where an elder narrates stories to a few attentive listeners. His voice is calm and soothing, carrying the weight of countless years. You listen intently as he recounts tales of ancestors who sought protection from spirits by leaving offerings to unseen guardians, a tradition both sacred and practical. The blending of everyday life with the divine seems as natural here as the sky embracing the earth. Did you know the elder muses with a twinkle in his eye that some say, if you leave a hammer alone near the altar, it will build its own house? The children erupt into laughter, disbelief mingled with delight. You chuckle softly, imagining the scene, and wondering if somewhere out there, historians argue over the truth behind such a whimsical claim. Time flows gently and the air cools as the evening progresses. The children's laughter fades into the melodic hum of crickets and the occasional hoot of a distant owl. You feel a soft shiver run down your back, the kind that often follows a day well spent in good company, filled with inspiration and warmth. Your thoughts drift to tomorrow, wondering if the tiny hammers and boats will set sail on new adventures, or if they'll quietly rest content in their offerings. The light of the setting sun casts an enchanting glow over the village, the soft hues painting a serene picture that melts the boundaries between play and devotion. As you turn to leave, the elder smiles gently at you, a knowing look in his eyes, as if he too understands that the line between what we make and what we believe is but a whisper on the breeze. As you wander back through the cobblestone paths, you pause to look up at the brilliant tapestry of stars unfolding above. The sky is alive with distant lights, constellations that have watched over countless generations. One particularly bright star catches your attention, and you're filled with a quiet sense of wonder, reminded of how small our crafts and offerings seem compared to the vastness above. And yet, in this intimate corner of the world, surrounded by the murmur of wind through leaves and the memory of shared laughter, you feel a kinship with those who came before. Perhaps it's in this harmonious blending of the earthly and the divine, the tangible and the unseen, that true peace is found. You yawn, softly overcome by a comforting wave of drowsiness muscles beginning to relax in the cool air. You allow your eyes to close for just a moment, surrendering to the gentle rhythms of this place. It's as if the earth itself is lulling you to rest, whispering that you are part of a story far older than words. Tomorrow will come filled with new sounds, new sights, and new tales, waiting to be crafted by eager hands. But for now, under the tranquil night sky, you simply are. And here, where the divide between play and worship vanishes, you find yourself embraced by a world where every act, no matter how small, is an offering of presence, of being, and of wonder. Peaceful and content, you exhale slowly. As you make your way to the warm glow of home, you know that regardless of where tomorrow may take you, this moment of quiet reverence disguised as craft time will linger in your heart, a cherished memory for the journey ahead. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from, so post your location and local time below. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Children's laughter echoes through the air, blending with the soft crunch of snow underfoot as you navigate between wooden huts, their roofs sagging slightly under the weight of snow. You are part of a pack darting breathlessly from one corner to the next, heart pounding quietly in anticipation. Among you, one child declares themselves the wolf, their breath visible in the frigid air, like little clouds following their cries. The wolf's role is one of mystery, an honor bestowed by a whimsical count. Your surroundings brim with life. The village, a sprawling array of sturdy huts, huddles against the cold as if sharing warmth among themselves. Smoky tendrils rise from chimneys, merging with the sky, a quilt of gray and white above. You move between these huts, their walls woven from history, knowing each narrow alleyway and icy path offers both sanctuary and risk. As the game unfolds, you're reminded of wolves in the wild, how packs sweep across the tundra, each member pivotal to the hunt's success. Your group follows suit, moving with a seamless grace, only disrupted by playful yelps when the wolf closes in. And while the goal is evasion, survival of the fittest, if you will, it's also about the thrill of the chase. There's a lightheartedness, a buoyancy in the air, but underlying this game is a deeper lesson: respect for the wild and its unpredictable ways. Historians still debate whether such games mirrored real survival tactics passed down through generations, teaching skills necessary in a world where the wild was both a provider and a predator. But you, in this moment, aren't worried about historical debate. You're just trying to escape the snapping jaws of the little wolf on your heels, laughter bubbling through the cold air. A sudden flurry of snow knocks against your cheeks, pinpricks of cold that make you blink in surprise. You spot a group gesturing wildly for you to duck behind a towering snowbank. You dive in, managing a slight giggle as you glide across the slick surface joining their huddle. The wolf prowls around, sniffing out your location with exaggerated snorts. But for now, you breathe easy. A hushed moment later, someone mutters about snowdrifts as more than just hiding spots. They're markers of where storms have been, where the wind sings as it circles through the village corridors. You wonder if there's truth in these words, or if they're imaginative whispers carried on the wind, just like those tales of beasts in the woods given life by flickering hearth flames. But the wolf eyes, bright with mischief, isn't interested in the lyrical ponderings of drifting snow, only in who may still be caught. As the game winds through the village pathways, it's undeniable that you're learning unwritten rules of teamwork and evasion. Becoming part of the group effort, you cheer on others, their victories feeling like your own. A strategic tumble into a snowbank here, a devilish zigzag through the tight alleyways. There, the chase becomes as much a part of you as your quickening breath. Your friend Freya giggles as you skid to a stop beside her. "Did you hear Rolf got caught because he tried to hide with the goats?" she whispers, suppressing a bubble of laughter. You nod knowingly, recalling snippets about how goats seem oblivious to chaos. They watch calmly as if wise to secrets untold to hurried humans. The game rushes to a climax, the air alive with energy. There's warmth in your chest, a glow spread wide as a contented yawn. Perhaps it's the connection of shared history reflected in this ancient game, or simply the joy of movement under a sky that's content to watch. Eventually, the wolf catches the last straggler, a triumphant whoop signaling the end. You exhale slowly, feeling your shoulders relax as you lean back against a snowbank, the chill seeping through fabric. The stars wink into view overhead, ice crystals in the sky's velvet canvas, reminding you of countless stories told under similar cosmic displays. As the night deepens, laughter fades to soft murmurs. The game has ended, but its echoes linger in your mind. You wonder about the stories shared around hearths tonight, about the invisible line between folklore and history, and how this game, with its playful lessons, contributes to the tapestry of your lives, just like the stars above. Feeling the gentle fatigue of both body and mind, you allow yourself a moment to savor the day's events. The calm sound of snow muffling footsteps, the whisper of your breath in the chilled air. It all contributes to this peaceful overture. Each inhale draws in the scent of pine and smoke, each exhale creating soft clouds that dissipate into the night. As the story softens around you, you're lulled into relaxation by the serene rhythm of the village settling into stillness. You pull the warmth of these memories closer, resting under this blanket of snow and nostalgia, safe in the knowledge that the wild, while respected, is for now a gentle guardian, watching over slumber. The echoes of play, of laughter and friendship wane until they're a soothing murmur beneath dreams. Your world becomes fuzzy at the edges, hues merging into the peaceful tapestry of sleep. Sweet slumbers are built around you, soft as snowfall, gentle as a lullaby whispered by the stars. Tonight the wolves are no longer chasing, and you are deeply comfortably at rest. In a world without rulebooks, you're a child in a dimly lit room, cozily wrapped in furs that have seen generations before you. The room is alive with the soft glow of a roaring hearth, casting shadows that dance whimsically across the walls. You stretch your arms, feeling the delightful crackle of warmth against your skin. It's quiet, yet bustling lively with the imagination of children, inventing games in the absence of structured entertainment. You glance around, and there across the room, your sister stacks bowls on her head one by one, her eyes alight with mischief and concentration. With remarkable balance, she begins to walk laps around the room, her movements wobbly, yet graceful, a human tower of clay and daring. You marvel at her focus, wondering if this was how the earliest acrobats started, perhaps fueled by the simple household dare to outdo their siblings. Historians might still debate whether such games were the stepping stones to grander arts, but for now, her steadfast determination is its own artistry. Nearby, your brother is fully engrossed in his latest oddity, counting reindeer teeth. You can't help but chuckle, wondering when exactly he managed to collect those, and more importantly, whose idea it was to start counting them. Maybe one of the reindeer had given a sleepy grin, and your brother, in his infinite wisdom, had announced, "Now that's an idea for a pastime." It's the kind of logic only understood in the mind of a child, and yet in this household, it seems perfectly reasonable. The room smells faintly of pine resin and earth, a scent you recognize from the endless wood piles stored for the long winter. You hear the crunch underfoot as someone shuffles through hay scattered across the floor. Every movement is accompanied by an ambient soundtrack of crackling firewood and whispered laughter, the gentle hum of your small universe at play. You take a moment to absorb it all, feeling the kind of contentment that only comes in the absence of a world demanding more than simple joys. Tonight there are no adults overseeing with stern agendas or sighing insistences on bedtime, which may or may not be the reason you're still awake. Instead, there's only the freedom to explore one's imagination until you fall asleep right where you are dream-bound in the hearth's warm embrace. You think I can add one more. Your sister's voice breaks into your reverie, filled with the challenge of the next unstacked bowl. You nod, offering encouragement, partly because you genuinely believe she can, and partly because the looming potential for a mishap is too entertaining to miss. Somewhere off in the distance, you wonder if people in other households invent games just as strange and wonderful as yours. Maybe somewhere there's a family trying to see who can hop from rug to rug, pretending the floor is a river, just as you've done so many times. You snicker softly, wondering if there's a grand prize for their river crossers, or if, like your games, it is all in the spirit of passing the time with a satisfaction that no store-bought toy could provide. Your brother approaches clutching a small wrapped parcel, as if it holds all the mysteries of the world. Did you know he starts eyes wide with the kind of knowledge only the young can take seriously, that the Vikings used to believe they'd get to drink endlessly from magical horns in Valhalla? You almost groan at the thought of endless drinks unwisely consumed, but nod, feigning academic curiosity. He opens the parcel, revealing more teeth than you'd think possible. Now that's something you don't see every day. He squats beside you, reverently handling each tooth like an ancient treasure eternally unfound. There's a pride in his eyes as he catalogs them by size and shape, a meticulousness that historians might envy in their quests for civilization's lost relics. What if they let reindeers into Valhalla too? He whispers conspiratorially, as if proposing a theory to a learned society. You sigh with theatrical resignation, knowing full well that their antics will not find you sleep anytime soon, although you can't really say you mind. The night is still young, and who could resist the lure of invented histories and uncertain futures in the flickering firelight? The only certainty tonight is that you'll awaken tomorrow to the same comforting chaos, maybe, to find your sister juggling eggs next, or your brother positing further unlikely animals in the Norse afterlife. But for now, you revel in the joy of not knowing, letting your mind wander even as your eyelids grow heavy. In the end, tonight is not about reaching some distant conclusion or perfect ending. It's about enjoying the playful journey, the whispers of past echoes in your games, and the shared unspoken love in this dimly lit space. You close your eyes, soothed by the gentle surroundings, the room still lively with laughter, softly fading into dreams. Whatever tomorrow brings, you know, it will start with the same warmth you drift into now. And as the night deepens, you wonder if anyone ever did find perfect balance like your sister. Or were teeth always counted in 2s and 3s forever, a mystery of their own making? These questions are left behind in the rising and falling embers until there is only the quiet bliss of sleep. Long before you even think about wielding an axe or cooking stew over a crackling fire, you find yourself in ancient lands where small hands toss stones and pretend to brew potions using leaves and seawater. It's a time when play is more than just fun. It's preparation for life's real challenges. You sit cross-legged on the warm, dusty ground of a small village. Around you, other children chatter in tongues unfamiliar yet somehow understood. You watch as a set of smooth rocks is gathered into a pile. The stones look ordinary, but to a child's imagination, they're tiny warriors or perhaps exotic fruits in an elaborate game of barter. You can do it, murmurs a voice to your left, belonging to a child with eyes bright and mischievous, clutching a smooth stone. You smile and nod, letting the warmth of camaraderie settle in your chest. tossing stones is not just passing the time. It's building the foundation for skills that children of this time will quickly turn into expertly thrown axes when the need arises. A task simple now, but essential one day. Nearby, a faint scent of herbs being crushed drifts through the soft breeze. You trace the aroma to a small group of children kneeling beside a pretend stew. Their pots are nothing more than hollowed-out gourds filled with an assortment of grasses, berries, and scraps. You shuffle closer, intrigued by the mock culinary demonstration. One child stirs the mix with a stick stirrer in hand, careful and intent, just as a novice chef would practice before ever facing the heat of a true hearth. My father says this will make my hair shiny. She giggles, patting a strand that's perfectly messy. Her friends chuckle, but you find yourself pondering if there's any truth to the ancient art of potion making for beauty. Historians still debate whether these games of pretend cooking directly influenced the culinary arts or were merely mimicries of adult routines. But here in this moment, the lines blur into one delightful act. You draw an imaginary taste from the air, wondering if one day this child's stew will become a beloved dish, served around a table amid laughter and love. Laughter echoes as one boy imitates the gruff tones of a town crier, announcing that any rock hunters better sharpen their skills lest they meet the disappointment of their elders. You let a smile curl at your lips, recognizing that some things never change, like the timeless appeal of a good-natured jest. A gentle breeze ruffles your hair, and you feel an unexpected calm in the midst of historical chaos. These echoes of the past, the stones, the stews, are teaching you lessons deeply rooted in time. By age 10, many children here would confidently wield small daggers or neatly stir bubbling pots, having been taught by play by each other, by everyone willing to pass down a sliver of wisdom through the hands of time. You can't help but imagine the day when these children grow older. Will they carry on the rituals, the games, or will the evolution of society render such pastimes obsolete? As the stones click together in rhythmic patterns, it brings a reminder of how traditions echo through ages. You imagine years from now rows of historical books trying fervently to capture the tales of those games and their significance, some probably as misunderstood as the concepts of play and learning intertwined. The sun begins to dip below the horizon, bathing the village in shades of gold and deepening blue. Laughter quiets into murmurs as wooden bowls are piled up. You stand brushing off the dust and leaves from your clothing, feeling an ineffable connection with this world, almost unsure where your time begins and theirs ends. You look over your shoulder one last time as you start to walk away, with the soft earth cushioning your feet, thinking of how stones and stews, simple as they seem, are powerful enough to forge paths through history. You laugh softly to yourself, knowing that while you might live in a different world, the essence of learning remains unchanged. A certain camaraderie in discovering life through the lens of childhood imagination. As you step forward, the sound of the children's play gradually fades into the gentle hum of a distant choir of crickets. It's a peaceful soundtrack to your departure from this moment in history, nestled comfortably in the folds of memory. The lessons here are simple, profound, and echo in your heart, long after you leave a part of you forever entranced by the subtle power of simple stones and imaginary stews. Your journey continues, the soft breeze brushing lightly against your skin, and the smell of age-old herbs lingering with a faint sweetness in the air. The path ahead is clouded in wonder and curiosity, just like the faded yet vibrantly alive footsteps of those children long ago, lost in time, but ever present in spirit. Fur blankets cocoon you soft against your skin as you lay on a bed carved from sturdy oak. The gentle crackle of the hearth fire dances in the corner of your vision, sending flickers of warm orange light, caressing the familiar runes etched into the walls, symbols whose meanings you've been told many times yet still feel as mysterious as one of Odin's riddles. On the floor beside you, a small wooden toy boat leans against the curved leg of the bed. It's a simple creation crafted by your father's hands from a salvaged piece of driftwood. You remember his playful assurance that one day you might sail a real ship crossing seas as vast as the legends of old, though for now you'd settle for floating it down a babbling brook. Tonight the winter winds howl gently outside, as if weaving their own saga, untangling stories of gods and giants, of heroes and distant lands. The air is crisp with the scent of pine smoke and a hint of something you can't quite put your finger on, perhaps the elusive aroma of a long-lost summer day. You close your eyes trying to picture what the sky might look like far above the thatched roof, scattered with stars like scattered shards of Freya's jewels. Your thoughts drift to stories your grandmother often tells. One in particular is about Thor chasing away giants with his mighty hammer. You can almost hear his thunderous voice rolling and booming like storm clouds across the horizon. You wonder in your drowsy musings if he ever tires of all that hammer swinging. After all, even gods must have a day off. Do you think they really ever saw such giants? You whisper into the soft fur, knowing there is no answer that can truly satisfy. Historians still debate whether such tales were based on truth or merely embellishments passed through the crisp, chill air of countless winters. The blankets shift as you adjust your position, seeking the perfect nook to cradle your dreams. You smile slightly, imagining what it would be like to meet a legendary giant, perhaps share a cup of mead, though where on earth you'd find a goblet big enough is another matter. Feeling the soothing weight of sleep creep ever closer, images swirl with growing seamlessness in the space between awareness and reverie. A sea eagle soaring above icy fjords, its wings spanning the sky like woven tapestries of old. You breathe in the cold, revitalizing air, feeling it invigorate your senses, even in your dreams, as though bracing yourself on the prow of one of those famed longships. Do you think the Northmen ever realized they'd become legends? A voice drifts into your mind, a familiar voice of thought, perhaps a figment or a remembered conversation. You picture them huddled beneath blankets, like yours not so different after all, whispering stories to one another in the shivering night. You chuckle softly at the thought. Legends. They were probably just thinking about their next meal, or hoping unruly sheep wouldn't eat their shoes again. Another infamous saga, not quite as glamorous as the others, but just as vital to daily life. The fire crackles, punctuating the room's silence with its gentle, reassuring presence. You imagine its flames as echoes of ages, past a constant companion through time, telling timeless stories in their own language of light and shadow. There's a comfort in this continuity, in knowing that the world, though ever-changing, holds steadfast traditions from heart to hearth. You turn slightly, and your fingers brush the edge of the toy boat once more. Its smooth surface is warm to the touch, promising adventures yet to come, both grand and small. Softly enveloped by warmth and the tender lullaby of the winter wind, your eyelids grow heavier. You drift on the edge of dreams and reality, where sagas blend with snowflakes and Viking villages live on in the glow of the firelight. Even now you feel connected to those ancient nights, to the whispers of the past, close and comforting. The world fades softly now, the edges of consciousness blurring into dreams of 1,000 possibilities. Far above the northern lights, ripple across the sky a curtain of colors, guarding your slumber as once they did for the children of old. In this serene space, where history and imagination entwine, where heroic feats and everyday wonders nestle close, you ease gently into the embrace of sleep. And there, nestled in timeless narratives, you realize that even now, in the quiet moments between stories, legends unfurl in the most unexpected places. So let your dreams sail with the toy boats, and stories nestle deep in the fur against your chin. As you drift off, feel the world around you soften into slumber, every crackle of the fire, a gentle whisper of adventures yet told. Surrender to the call of dreams, where the distinction between history and imagination is but a whisper on the wind, leading you gently into a peaceful night's rest.